What is dark sexual energy? Why do we want to reclaim this dark sexual energy? It's wild, it's erotic, it's glorious, it's us. Full body, waving, creativity energy. Beyond absorbed conditioning, we know it in our bones. Dark goddess mysteries. Medusa, Persephone, Lilith. Cervical, days long. I just had an orgasm. I feel like that's a sign. Yes! Okay, so let's get into the content and then the invitation. There's 2 invitations. I'll share them with you at the end. I'll also maybe share a little bit of a practice at the end. So if you hang out from now until the end, I want to share a little bit of a dark feminine, dark goddess, reclamation of the dark side of our sexuality. First, I would love to talk about what is the dark side of our sexuality. So what the heck is this dark side, Sabrina? This sounds evil or wicked or nasty or wrong or bad. Well, that's kind of the problem with it. That's kind of what wreaks havoc in our systems. That's kind of where we have a lot of shame, where we have a lot of guilt. That's kind of where this big ball of energy sort of plays into our lives unconsciously. It's the unconscious realms, it's the shadow realms, it's the hidden realms. It's not bad. So dark is not bad. Dark is just under the surface typically. Or dark is, how else do I want to explain it? If you start to think about like dark goddess and dark feminine energy, it's just like a color on the spectrum. It's like a color, it's a flavor on the spectrum is really how I would love to sort of explore this or talk about this. This flavor on the spectrum. It's a flavor of the feminine sexuality. It's a flavor. And it's wild, it's erotic, it's dark, it's intense. There's a whole lot of fire there. There's a whole lot of passion there. There's a whole lot of energy there. So can you start to feel, like start to put 2 and 2 together? If I'm not open to my own flavor of dark sexuality or dark energy, dark is not bad, of this flavor, this thread, this type of energy running through my body, what is that doing to my being? What is that doing to my life? What is that doing in my relationship? So anytime that we are putting a lid on our authentic energy, anytime we are putting a lid on things, we are using energy to do that. Can you feel that? Anytime we're putting a lid on it, we're using energy to keep the lid on. Like, no, I don't want to express this aspect of myself. I don't want to express this authentic, wild woman part of me. I don't want this to be seen. Can you feel how much energy is required to keep the lid on? And what that does to us, how that manifests in physical health problems, how that manifests in our sex lives, how that manifests in how we raise our children, how we create in the world. Sexuality is creativity energy. And so where's the effect playing out in our lives? All right, so that's the what. I think I've kind of gone into the why, right? So what is dark sexual energy? Why do we want to reclaim this dark sexual energy? Well, because it's just a thread of the fullness of ourselves. So if you look at the spectrum of divine feminine, and so when I say divine feminine, I think this helps us to not go dark evil, dark bad, dark, and we start to go good, bad, right, wrong. But if we go the dark flavor of the divine goddess, of the divine feminine, right? There's this thing that happens in our system where we go, there's a sacredness. There's a sacredness to the dark goddess. There's a sacredness to the dark feminine. There's a sacredness to it. So it's all still woven into and threaded into our own divinity. It's a piece of Shakti, like it's a thread of Shakti. It's a flavor of Shakti. It's a flavor of the goddess. It's a flavor of me. It's a flavor of you. It's a flavor of every person. It's a flavor of our world. It is a flavor of our world. And the gifts held within there are enormous. They are, and I can't even say what they are because they're so unique to each of us. when we open up to the reclamation of our like hidden sexuality, of our dark, wild feminine, the things that will unfold in your life will be very different to the things that unfolded in my life and will continue to unfold in my life. The things that heal and shift and awaken and move and change in your life will be very different to mine, but can be things like our ability to say no in a fully open, love-filled, divinely aligned way. No. Like, no, that's dark goddess. That's owning that part of ourselves. It's the ability to say no and the ability to discern, the ability to be discerning, the ability to create healthy boundaries, really healthy boundaries. This is a yes, this is a no. I know this. I'm not watery, like yes to sex in this moment. Yes. And it's not a question, right? Or I don't get pushed into something that is not authentic to me. It's not true to me. That can be something that happens. Things around orgasm is massive, massive. I cannot tell you how much that shifts in a woman's life, is the ability to feel pleasure, to express pleasure, to experience pleasure, to let pleasure roll through our bodies. The ability for orgasm to go from some like clitoral sneeze to full body waving, cervical, days-long orgasms. For many of us, our ability to express in that way, our ability to experience those sorts of orgasms is very much linked to how much have we reclaimed our authentic sexual expression in all forms, right? All forms. Think about 50 Shades of Grey. I love this because it brings it just so right down to earth. 50 Shades of Grey. It wasn't a great book. Like, it wasn't written all that artistically. The movies weren't really that great. But what happened was it hit on a shadow thread. It hit on a shadow thread in the collective conscious. It hit perfect timing, perfect, boom, right? Boom. And suddenly it made something that many individuals have longed for or craved, that was part of the dark, right? Can you feel how this is like part of the dark? And it's not dark. It's not dark. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's wild. It's glorious. It's us. It's us. So we just talked about the what is this, the why would we want to do this, all of the different things that can come. Relationships change, our creativity changes, our ability to even be aligned with our authenticity and our truths changes. Our body shape often changes. Our body shape, like the physical shape of our body, a lot of times will change. Okay, great. This sounds good, Sabrina. Yes, I want to have full body orgasms. That sounds wonderful. Yes, I would love to tap further into my creativity. Yes, I can see why. I get it. How? Find a doorway, a practice, a women's circle, a modality that takes you beneath everyday norms, that takes you into shadow self, that takes you beyond absorbed conditioning, beyond patterned ways that our bodies are, that our nervous systems are. Find what sings to you. It might be shamanic practices, it might be tantric practices, it might be archetypal practices, it might be women's circles, it might be men and women's circles. Find what it is that gets you out of your little self, that gets you out of your little self. Something that shines a light, because this is unconscious for ourselves. So find the thing that shines the light on the places you can't get to. The thing, right? The facilitator, the person, the place, the group, the circle, the book, the whatever that shines a light into the places that you can't yet see. Find that. So in ReWilding, we work with all of those modalities. We work with tantric practices, we work with shamanic practices, we work with archetypal practices, we work with a whole plethora of different ways of getting beyond conditioned self, getting deeper into these more hidden, more locked away places. And a big part of what we do is work with the dark goddess. A huge part, huge aspect is the dark goddess mysteries. The dark goddess mysteries, because they are like keepers. They're like keepers of this aspect of self. They're gatekeepers. And you start to work with an archetypal energy. What it helps us do is it helps us to get impersonal. So it's now not so personal. When it's personal and I'm saying to you, like, what are you hiding in your sexuality? What is it that you don't want to express? Like, what are you hiding from your partner? What are you ashamed of? What are you embarrassed of? What are you guilty? Can you feel that? That's like, poof, poof. And for some of us, that's a doorway in. For some of us, someone like literally taking a sword to their head is a doorway in. So you might have just felt me saying those things to you and you're going, whoa, okay, I hide this and I hide this and I'm ashamed of this and I'm guilty of this and I'm embarrassed of this. And that's amazing and that's beautiful. But for some of us, another way in would be to work through a myth. So you start to talk about the myth of Medusa. Medusa is one of those archetypes that's glorious for the reclamation of sexuality, the reclamation of the dark side of sexuality. And you feel into Medusa, the myth of Medusa, she wore the mask. How many of us wear a mask over our sexuality? How many of us? I wore a mask for years and years and years. I'm 40. I probably still wear masks around certain stuff. And let me tell you, I have experienced a whole lot of stuff and I have pushed into a whole lot of boundaries and I have worked through a whole lot of shame and a whole lot of guilt around certain expressions of sexuality. But I still am sure that there's more. I am sure that there's more. So how many of us wear a mask and it's like, okay, this expression of my sexuality as sweet, as angelic, as blah, blah, blah. This I'm good with. This I'm good with, right? I can be the angel and I can be like the feminine mystic in the bedroom and the high priestess in the bedroom. But then when it comes to getting erotic and wild, I am not comfortable there. When it comes to getting like absolutely primal, erotic, wild, insane, intense, I'm not good there. Now, can you feel, just in that little exploration, how much juice sits there? How much juice sits in the depths? How much juice sits in the dark? There is so much energy, so much passion, so much juice that resides there. That resides there. So much. So for anyone who feels like your sex life is dead, go to the dark. If you feel like your own, not even necessarily within a relationship, like, sex is dead in a relationship, for sure, get in the dark. But even within self, like, wow, I just feel like numb, or I've lost my libido, or I'm not feeling very sexual. Try the dark. So which archetypes, if you're going to do archetypal work, or you're going to study myths, or you're going to go into different threads or different energy of Shakti, which ones will really take us into the reclamation, the healing, the awakening of the dark aspect of our sexuality? So if I just gave you three, there's a lot, but if I gave you three, I would say Medusa, Persephone, and Lilith. Medusa, Persephone, Lilith, when it comes to reclamation of the dark side of our sexuality, when it comes to reclamation of the fullness of our sexuality, and the sometimes shamed parts or hidden parts. And just feel for yourself, right now you can just do a little quick check. I'll end on this little practice. So just like open up the central channel in your body. That's just this like wisdom channel. It's like the Shakti channel in your body. It's just a central column of light from the crown of your head to the base of your spine. So just breathe that open. Breathe open your heart. Breathe open your womb space. So you kind of let body wisdom kick online. So just breathe your body for a second. And we're going to feel into which of those three goddesses sings to you the most. But it can't be a heady thing, right? This goes beyond the head. This is beyond the head, beyond the mental realm. For some of us, it might come in and it might feel like it comes in through the head. So I also don't want to just poo-poo that. But it's like deeper wisdom in the body. Like we know what we know. We don't know how we know it, but we know it in our bones. Like I know it in my bones. And that's the wisdom I'm asking us to access instantly, like in this moment. So just breathe those centers open, feel your body, and now feel Medusa. Just feel what happens in your system When I say Medusa, when we hold the energy of Medusa, so like Medusa. Okay, now breathe, let that go. Like let her go, let the energy of Medusa go. By the way, you don't need to know these archetypes at all to do this practice. Your body knows, you do not have to know. This is way beyond mental realm stuff. So just breathe Medusa out, like let her go. Just let Medusa go. Okay, now breathe the central channel open. Just let the body be open, let the wisdom centers be open, and feel Persephone. So Persephone, just feel Persephone. What happens in the body, what happens for you when we say Persephone, and then let that go. So let her go, like breathe her out, shake it out, come back to center point, come back to 0 point, let all of that go. Now breathe all those channels open, breathe those wisdom centers open. Lilith. Lilith. So just feel like Lilith. What happens in your body when we say Lilith, when you feel into Lilith. Okay, then let that go. And I would love to know in the comments, I would love to know which one. I would love to know who sang the loudest. Just for you, personally, in this moment, Sarah says Lilith. Oh, heck yeah. The Apache Angel woman, oh, I freaking see you. I love that. And I want to read this out. I just had an orgasm. I feel like that's a sign. Yes, yes. And that was Persephone. So Persephone, Lilith, Lilith, Persephone, Lilith, Persephone, Persephone, Lilith, Lilith, Medusa, a fire in my lower chakra. So we're going to continue this topic. We have an hour to go into this. This is like poking. I'm not even scratching the surface. I'm like pointing to the surface of the iceberg that is this topic. Or go to the ReWilding podcast. You will see there's a Lilith podcast. There's a Medusa podcast. I'm pretty sure there's a Persephone podcast. Pluto. Just go. We have 91 episodes. That's insane to me. Don't watch the earlier ones because that was like 4 years ago and I don't even know who I was then. No, I'm joking. Go for your life. But that's a really great resource too, to feel into specific archetypal energies. Lilith, Lilith, Lilith. Look at all you women with the Lilith. Ah! Medusa, 1st and 2nd chakra, Persephone, 4th and 5th, Lilith, 4, 5, 6. Oh, woman, thank you so much. It's amazing. I love you all. Thank you all for being a part of our community and doing what you're doing in the world, sharing what you're sharing in the world, and inspiring us and making all of this possible. Super, super grateful. I will see you where I see you, when I see you. Mwah.